listening to the Energy is Love podcast.
Do you remember the last episode we did, 279?
I do remember.
And,
I remember part of it.
Do you remember at the end when we pushed pause, or we didn't turn anything off actually, but we were done, and then we had that hilarious moment of the realization of how high we were.
I do remember.
If you didn't see that part, because you didn't see it, because it's not in the actual episode, but Craig made a reel of that moment.
Oh, you did?
And it's gold. I can tell you already, it's gold. So you can go find it on Instagram. It's just absolutely beautiful. Such a hilarious moment in time. And I'm so grateful that we have it captured now forever. It was wonderful. Good evening, Stephanie.
Well, good evening, Craig. We're being very formal tonight.
Barb?
I feel like I should be drinking this out of like a fine flute or something, right? Instead of a good old can. I'm a can kind of girl.
Oh, goodness. Here we are again.
Water out of a can. Come on.
We've got some interesting topics at hand that we'll be discussing this episode, some of which will hopefully bleed over into the rest of our lives. I forgot to ask you a question before we got started.
Shit.
I know. Let's see if I can telepathically do it.
Oh, I don't want that.
Do you remember us discussing?
If I get the wrong message.
Do you remember us discussing earlier this week about it was time to that waiting until the website was finished was foolish, and it was just time. Are you still feeling that? Or do you want to sit with it a little bit and maybe we'll use that momentum at the end of the episode, or are you just feeling it? Because we can also do it during the promo.
Yeah?
Yeah, if we want to, the intro. You want to sit with it?
I say stay tuned for a possible reveal
at
the end. Or maybe you already heard it in the promo.
Could be.
Who knows?
This could be a complete mindfuck for you.
Right?
You could not.
We might not even bring it up at all. And then you're like,
did I miss something?
Wait a minute.
And then you have to go back and listen again. You're like, what are they talking about? I didn't think I missed anything. How often, be honest with yourself if you're listening to this right now or watching, right? Or masturbating to it. Maybe you masturbate to us. That's fine.
We are pretty
masturbatory.
I was going to say masturbatable.
Masturbatable? Oh my God, baby. Masturbatable is now the name of this episode. You come up with just the best words that ever. You have a way with the English language.
Do I?
That I've never seen before. It's amazing.
I feel like you don't mean that as the compliment that it sounds like.
Bull. Sorry. I had to smell. I had to smell your imaginary word. No, it's a real compliment. Yeah.
It is a real compliment?
It's so beautiful. Yeah, it's so fun.
Thank you. You usually make fun of me. There's plenty of reels to prove that.
Making fun of you isn't a bad thing.
No, it's not a bad thing, but you're not usually complimentary of my unique vocabulary.
I wouldn't make fun of you if...
You didn't love me so much?
No.
I get that love language.
I wouldn't make fun of you if I really thought that it was hurting you.
Oh, yeah.
If I thought that it was hurting you, then of course I wouldn't make fun of you.
Of course not. And if you were mean about it, it would hurt me, but you're not mean about it.
My pinky is sticky.
I have
a sticky pinky.
What are we going to do?
I don't know if I can do an entire episode
Why
of the
is
stinky
your
pinky. I don't know.
Are you saying stinky or sticky? Because I'm hearing stinky, but you're touching it like it's sticky.
It is STICKY. Sticky.
Sticky. Okay, so it's not a stinky pinky, because I'm like, has it been in somebody's ass? Is that what you're saying?
I love that you ask it that way. You never know.
Well, I know it wasn't my ass.
Right? So you're like, maybe somebody.
Otherwise, I'd be sitting over here like, fuck, that's embarrassing. Don't say that. Why is it sticky?
I don't know why it's sticky. If I knew why it was fucking sticky, I would have. I'm convinced I got it from the mic. So I'm like, is the mic sticky?
What did you put on the mic?
Jesus. Let's ask a bunch of obvious fucking questions.
It's not obvious. I don't know what's on the mic or why your finger's sticky. You don't even know why your finger's sticky.
I think that was the obvious part. And then to ask a bunch of questions about why it's...
I thought we could put our heads together and problem solve this.
It's a fucking mystery.
Yeah, but you're going to be...
Some of... I think we've talked about... Fuck, I don't even care anymore.
You don't even care?
I had this realization so often on the podcast. I'm like, I think we've talked about this. I think we've talked about that. I really need to stop saying that.
Yeah.
It annoys me.
Oh.
because we're never like we've talked about, we're never going to remember everything that we talked about.
No way.
Sometimes we've been on a couple of podcasts lately. You can go listen to, let's see, Mormons on Mushrooms was earlier in the year. We had Evolved Marriage. There was another one that I was thinking of.
Yes. Is it the Anxious Redhead?
Yes.
That was fun.
That was a lot of fun.
Amanda's pretty awesome.
Yeah. We've shared those links and whatnot on our social if you want to go find them. But we've had a lot of fun lately on other podcasts.
We have.
And I
like that.
Do you like doing
I like
those?
going on other ones.
It's fun, huh?
Yeah.
It's a lot easier.
No. Well, it's not actually. It's harder.
Hold on.
Okay.
This just in.
Okay.
This just didn't. Isn't that like an old radio
That
thing?
is. It's like a...
That was such a better example.
And it showed like the...
Yeah, such a better example of it. The stickiness is from my can.
Why is your can sticky? Ew. Ew.
I have no fucking
You got a
idea.
sticky can. Ew.
The bottom of it has definitely got some stick to it. It's not bad.
I keep like every time you...
I'm about to taste it.
Don't do that, please. I will start dry heaving and we'll be done.
Okay. So I've been on some podcasts lately, and I caught myself thinking, it was a travesty. I caught myself thinking, I don't like telling the same stories on podcasts. So if we've talked about it on our podcast,
Okay.
then I don't try to, or I try not to talk about it on other podcasts. And I try not to repeat myself on this podcast. So I drive myself crazy.
I'm going to say, like, I do not hold myself to that same standard.
Right. And I do. And it's an asinine standard that I've simply placed upon myself.
Yeah.
And then I had for whatever reason, I found the answer that gave me peace in just being able to like repeat myself on podcasts. Sometimes the stories that I tell have significance to the moment, and they have a significance to the moment on whatever podcast or whatever episode. And the person that resonates with that moment and with that significant thing that I'm saying may not have heard it before on a previous episode, or may not hear it on this other podcast. So I liked the idea of being able to just, share the wisdom of whatever it is in the moment, regardless of wherever they find it. So if they find it on our podcast, or they find it on one of the other podcasts that we're on, or if there's somebody that's a super fan of us and follows all the stuff and listens to us everywhere, then they're just getting the messages over and over and over and over again. And that must be working for them because they continue to listen.
I bet they hear it different every time, too.
Probably.
You know how you hear that,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden you're like,
Probably.
whoa, how have I never heard that before?
But what I was, the narrative that I had going on in my head was, you'll listen to, so for example, when a celebrity goes on a press tour. Nowadays, press tours include podcasts. So you'll get somebody, just recently, Jim Gaffigan.
I know who Jim Gaffigan is.
Gaffigan is.
That's actually a reference I got.
Yeah. He did Rogan.
Sorry.
He did. And then, they just go on every podcast. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
All the big podcasts. They go on all the podcasts.
I feel like they should include other podcasts.
Right?
Everybody does Rogan. Come on, think outside the box.
Energy
is Love podcast.
We got
Hello.
another seed. Come on.
We got 2 more.
I don't want to talk to Jim Gaffigan.
Okay.
Anyways.
Canceled.
They tell the same story sometimes.
Okay.
And they do it even worse on late night, or when they're doing those little short interviews. They don't do it so much, meaning celebrities or people that go on repetitive podcasts, during a press junket. But the narrative I was having in my head was I have to be more original than the celebrity that's telling the same comical joke on every late night interview that they're doing. Because I hate when I see somebody and then I see them again and then I see them again and they're talking about the same thing, telling the same story in the exact same way. It seems so fake to me.
Yeah.
And I have such a fear of being interpreted and seen as fake because I'm so afraid of being fake. And so I wanted to be authentic, but this was all shit that I created in my head to create continued anxiety for me to feel, which all was pointless at the end of the day, and I can just talk on the podcast. No
I
matter
love
what.
that you have that freedom.
I had another thing that I was going to tell you before we started recording.
Let's do it.
So I heard this earlier today, and it resonated greatly with me. And it's going to be my new mantra, and it's going to be my new mantra in regards to everything that we do with the podcast.
Okay.
And whether or not, like I said, you don't have to, right?
I don't have to what?
You get to do you. You get to be you.
Do I get to be, do I get to,
Don't
are you sure?
It.
Don't say what? I want to know that I don't say the right thing.
Knock, knock.
He's there.
Knock the motherfucking knock.
Who the fuck is there? That was hard to say.
So my new mantra,
Yes.
whether you choose to take it or not, it's up to you.
Oh, you're willing to share it?
Absolutely.
Oh. Let's see.
Stop entertaining and just share.
Stop entertaining and just share. That's a good one.
It really resonated for me. One of the things that Stephanie and I talk about all the time outside of this podcast is showing up authentically on this podcast and showing up authentically as who we are and the importance of that and how hard and challenging that is. And oftentimes lately, I have been creating so much content for all of our different, platforms that we're on. And I'm trying to tailor everything to be seen instead of just sharing us. Because we're doing a really good job of showing up on the podcast, I think, right?
I think so too. I heard my mantra with that. Mine's different than yours.
Okay. But I have to bring that awareness all the time so that I continually keep it in the back of my mind and also bring it to that place where I'm creating the content from us showing up authentically. Because it's not going to be beneficial if I take these episodes that we do and break them down into reels or clips or whatever, right? To disseminate to all the different platforms. If I then kind of convert it so that it's more appealing. I'm not concerned.
I didn't think you were doing that for a while. You had awareness. Is it a continuing evolution thing? Are you continuing to get better at it?
It is a continuing evolution, but there's also the internal processing was still very much like, we need to get seen, we need to get seen, we need to get seen. We have this stuff, so I have to figure out how I can entertain the people with whatever it is instead of just showing us who we are as we are. So I'm definitely getting better at that, but this was just a really easy reminder, super simple. Stop entertaining, just share. I'm not
okay.
When I say I'm not concerned, of course I have compassion and caring, but I'm just going to show up.
Okay.
I'm just going to share me. And turns out I'm entertaining sometimes.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm not. And sometimes I'm funny, and sometimes I'm not. Sometimes we have deeply emotional, traumatic, hard episodes where we cry and they stay with us for a few days. Sometimes we fight after episodes. Sometimes we get so triggered by the conversations that we go into our little caves for a while. And sometimes we don't. Yeah. We get to just share it all to the best of our ability.
Yeah, I think that means we're doing it. They get the real deal. They get all that shit.
I think so.
I mean, they don't see the after the scenes or behind the
scenes,
but they like right after the podcast, because that's usually when it hits. It's just and then the gravity kind of sits in, but we don't. I feel like it's there.
I think so too. So that's gonna be my goal.
Cool.
Stop entertaining and just share.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny because it wasn't until I heard mine, because we have different personalities.
Right.
Shock. So mine's a little different, but it wasn't until I heard mine that I realized where it's your mantra isn't going to be mine on that one. But can I just say how awesome that was that you were willing to share? I was sitting there, I'm like, oh man, I'm really going to like it. And then you're like, you could, I just love that you were willing to share. That was a hard thing. And it's okay that I'm not. I'm like, I don't entertain. I am I'm afraid of being seen. And so mine was you are safe to be seen. Stand up and share or stand up, share your truth. Just kind of wanted that. And then I was feeling that and I'm like, okay, where do I entertain? Because, if you're like, not me, there's got to be something. And I do it with my attempts at humor and try, because that's how I feel safe though. So that tied back into safe to be seen. It's like, if I am being seen, oh man, I better
turn on the funny.
I gotta be funny. And it doesn't always work. Sometimes I'm like, wah, wah, wah.
You turn on your wah, 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 because you don't really think you're funny. So for you, when you're being funny to make yourself feel comfortable because you're anxious, it is the wah, wah, wah.
It is the wah, wah.
And that's why you stumble over your words and you trip and fall and you knock the shit over. And...
I don't do that to be funny. I just can't fucking walk across the room without.
But that's the story you've told yourself.
That's not the story. That's a story I was told.
Right.
I can tell you. My parents used to joke about they should put a helmet on me.
So what's Stephanie's story?
What's Stephanie's story? I'm fucking graceful. I don't know. You're staring into my soul.
You are graceful, Stephanie. Baby, when you work and when you're in the flow of things, you move with such grace.
That's true. I do. I have tripped over my stool a couple of times, but not bad. Oh, see, I had to do it right there.
Yeah.
I had to degrade myself. Okay. You're right. I do move with grace.
What is your story?
I'm learning it. I don't know. I'm learning.
And you are funny.
Thank
and you're
you.
funny with your humor
and your brains
and you're smart. You've been telling me our whole relationship that you're slapstick funny.
No, I've been telling you that I'm funny. I don't think I've ever said the word slapstick.
You're right. You use sound effects. I'm funny.
Well, yes. That's my language.
Yes.
That's how I talk.
That is your language,
It's
and
okay.
that's okay. That's
it's
a part
my
of you.
workarounds. When I can't find the words, I just
But you're also hilarious.
I act it out with sound
effects. And you're
effects.
also clever.
Thank
and you're
you.
also intelligent. And you're also funny in all of those ways.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh,
so your mantra ended up being,
yours.
I'm safe to be seen.
Mm-hmm. Just fucking not.
Moving on.
Yeah, everybody's looking at me.
So Craig had a big epiphany.
Let's hear it.
I was going to look at it to see if I could bring forth the energy of what I want to share and or discuss on this episode of the podcast. Is brought to you by I talked, I think, on the last episode about synchronicity and just the realization of how vast it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I was limiting in my understanding of it. I was limiting the capacity with which it could surprise me and show me things, because I thought that it was limited to same day synchronistic events, maybe same few days, maybe every week, every other week, maybe a month at the most, but never further than that. And lately I've been seeing synchronistic alignment of things over the course of my entire life, and even further back than that. And I've started to see in some ways that they line up with future events. I've been waiting all day to say this thing. And I'm not going to say it. That's funny. Anyways, we got together in 2012. And in conjunction with us getting together, I think my path towards spirituality and my belief in energy and the universe really started to speed up in the conjunction with meeting you. And a few years in, I started to have a lot of awareness of energy and spirituality and just spiritual practices, spiritual teachings, understandings, a bigger, almost like the curtains were pulled back and I could see things vastly different than I ever had before. And so many things were starting to resonate and make sense. And I was having a lot of connections with the universe and all sorts of things. And it got very intense in a bunch of different ways. But during that time period, you went through a similar awakening, and we were having shared experiences, and we were having out-of-body experiences, and astral projections and lucid dreams. And it was like checking every box off the list of spiritual experiences, and whether I was doing that or the universe was doing that or some combination of both and all that kind of stuff. That's what it felt like to me. I felt like I was getting a crash course in this thing called energy in the universe. And then I reached a point with all of that new knowledge that I think I became oversaturated in it, and then started to become numb to it, and then started to turn off to it. And this plays right in conjunction with this podcast, because at the beginning of the podcast originally was formatted around that space, around the space of energy and energy healing and spirituality, and learning about all the different modalities and all the different people and all the different types of energy work and everything like that. And by the time, we were maybe 30 episodes into the podcast, I was bored with all of that shit. I was really losing interest in it. And at the time, I didn't really have an understanding of why. And it took me a really long time to really figure it out. And by really long time, I mean like yesterday. But what it felt like, because what's happened for me over the past week, and truthfully over the last year, but really highlighted beautifully over the past week, was how much I have come back to that space, and the beliefs of all of those different things, and the experiences of all of those different things, in such a more complete and full way. And synchronicities, and the concept around the synchronistic events of space and time that happen to us, or that we become aware of, or that we see, is just the latest example that I'm experiencing that is reaffirming that is reaffirming my thought around the universe and how it all works and how beautiful it is. And I can see it all so clear, like I used to be able to see the small little synchronicities of the day or the week. And now I'm seeing them of the years and the future potential that exists, and the past, and the way that they're all interwoven and interconnected. And it's given me such insight and such peace. And it's beautiful. So what shape it's forming and taking for me now, at this point where I'm at, is that I had to get a sneak peek of what was the potential. And then I had to almost go in the opposite direction in order to get to that full potential. Because I think if I would have been driving towards enlightenment or spirituality or feeling spiritually balanced, I think I would have, it's almost like tunnel visioned in on it and not been able to see all sorts of different things, right? And maybe it would have taken me longer. Maybe I never would have gotten to the end. I'm not saying I'm at the end now, but I think that I would have tunnel visioned in on it and then would have missed the mark, And instead I had to, what's that beautiful verbiage that I used? Do you remember? It's like, I had to focus on the journey in order to get to the destination.
Yeah.
Because if I just focused on the destination, I think I would have missed it. It's like X marks the spot. And if I look right at the X and try to land there, totally miss it. Overshoot it, undershoot it, crash into it, die, miss it completely because I'm so focused on it. And instead, what it feels like I've done is been able to focus on the journey and forget about the destination. Because truthfully, I remember when all of this was happening for me, and I thought, this just changed my whole life and my whole outlook and my whole belief, and this is going to be such an integral, important part of my life, and I'm going to be, doing spiritual energy work the rest of my life, and da-da-da-da-da, so on and so forth. And then I kind of didn't do that. At least that's what it felt like. It felt like I was kind of judging that space and being very judgmental about it, and the people involved in it, and the beliefs. And all of that I see now as just my own internal judgment, really having to question my beliefs, my thoughts, my ideas, question myself, who I am. But if you outline that, I think, if you say, in order to get to the destination of this balanced spiritual place, which I'm not at, right? I have a yearning inside to continually move towards balance, a word that I struggle with saying, but I'm not balanced, and I'm okay with that. But I think if I would have been shown the path to enlightenment, I don't think I would have made it. I think I would have fucked it all up. And I don't think anybody can show me my path to that place, right? They might be able to walk with me along the way in some stretches and point out some things that they recognize and they're familiar with. But at the end of the day, my path to balance is going to be different than yours. So I can't expect you to follow the path that I took to get to where I'm going. It's one thing if it's down to the grocery store, but everybody's path is different. And that's okay. Even if we don't end up at the same spot, meaning I have this belief in the universe and energy, and somebody might have a different path going in a different direction to a different place where they don't think anything about energy or the universe, that it's all hippy-dippy bullshit. That's okay. Their journey, their experience, their path. I will keep rambling, that. I'm a rambling man lately. Who sings that song? Lord, Who sings
Born
that?
a rambling man.
Is that a Kenny?
No, it's not Kenny. When it's time for leaving. I can sing you the song, but I can't
great.
tell you who it is.
Let's see if you can beat Google.
Fuck.
Let's see
I'm
if
not
I
with
can
pressure.
type. Oh my goodness.
Brothers.
Here we go. You ready?
Yeah.
The artist, the Allman Brothers.
I said brothers. Did you hear that?
I
I knew
did.
it was something brothers, but I couldn't
Yep.
get it. I was close.
Yep.
I almost had it. Do I get half points?
I think you do. I think you get full points.
I knew it was a brothers, but I couldn't get beyond that.
That's okay.
Damn.
Do you have any questions about kind of what I just rambled about? And rambling is minimizing what I just said. This is a very important part of my experience right now. And it's something that I want to bring more of to the podcast. This podcast was birthed from the energy of the universe and the belief and the thought that energy is love and how it all interconnected, everything and everyone. And it feels like I'm coming back into that space, but from such a completely different, it's like a homecoming where you don't even recognize, you come into town and you're like, when did they build that? I don't remember that being there. Where am I? This place looks so different. Because it feels similar, but it's so vastly different than what I remember or what I thought I knew. Synchronicity is seeing 3:33 on the clock. You're right, it's that. And it's so much more. So much more. So, what do you think, Stephanie?
What do I think?
I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'm curious if you have anything that jumps out at you from what I just said.
There's lots of things. It was like, I didn't get turned off to the space, but I definitely got turned off to people in that space. And I guess for similar reasons, but not. We
met some real cunts.
Right? Like the manipulation.
Plain and simple.
The manipulation that
people do to each other.
It's really intense. And then the bullshit, the everybody trying to undercut the other person and they're not doing it right. This is how you do it. That's not how you do it. Only it turned into such a backstabbing, but also that slimy, shady, spirituality to lure.
Manipulate.
So much.
Yeah.
So I didn't get away from that stuff, even though I did get away from showing you a lot of that stuff. Very scared to show you stuff. But then there was still times that I would have something really big and cool and I had to share it with you. And like, I don't hide it all. Like, there's my stuff. There's a lot, you know what I do.
She's pointing at her altar, people.
But
See off camera.
But there's still so much like little things that I do and things that I know like still have value to me, but I think you judge me. So I felt all that, but like felt like you judged me. And I already had, you know, issues with just kind of like worth and believing. So it was not hard for me. Like I knew that I wasn't the one person that you weren't thinking was stupid in that space, right? So first of all, like I'm kind of nervous a little bit just because I'm like, oh man, there's definitely some people that I do not want back in my life. I'm like, does that mean that they're coming back? Because we are definitely going to be on different paths.
Nope.
And like, that's just one thought of it, right? And like, I'm trying to tell you all these things. Like, yes, I'm excited to feel like I don't have to hide anymore, even though you never made me feel like I had to hide. I'm excited. I'll probably still hide because I'm scared as fuck to be seen. Even though I try to show you me, and then I'm like, oh fuck, he's looking.
Wah, 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 wah.
But I'm really like distracted with my words because I can just think of one thing, and so I'm trying to like give you more context and talk longer than just the one thing.
Say the one thing.
I'm going to. That's like my realization. A while ago, you like mentioned how you missed it. And like there was a part of you that wanted to reconnect. You wanted to reconnect and then you wouldn't say anything. And you'd kind of say that again, that you wanted to reconnect, which like that's like how you started opening the door, I think. And so now that you're here and you're talking about it and you're realizing that like you never really left, like you never stopped. You just quit calling it by anything.
Yeah.
You know, like you never lost any of it. Like you still did it constantly, sometimes consciously, sometimes subconsciously. So I like that you're like, I want to reconnect. I want to still have that connection or reconnect. I'm like, you still have that connection to where you're like, I'm getting everything. I just said yes. And now I'm seeing all the synchronicities. I'm like, I don't know. So I'm just celebrating you. So I'm just really happy. This is exciting. I'm also, oh, fuck. Am I putting pressure on you with that? It's like how excited I am could come off as, now this is where you need to maintain, or this is where you rely. I can just be excited.
Yes.
I'm excited for you. I'm excited for you to be happy.
You're excited for yourself as well.
I am excited for myself as well.
Yeah.
I
like
am.
having a partner that
I do.
all of that stuff.
So much.
I do too.
I mean, even though sometimes you put your hand on my head like last night and I feel like this yank out of my body. I'm like, what are you doing?
Let's describe that a little bit better.
Oh, okay. So
sometimes I think that
he put his hand on my head.
Right. I was pushing her down.
Right.
To her knees. We do energy work on each other. Oftentimes when Stephanie and I lay hands on each other, we transfer and we share and we experience things. And sometimes it's in a conscious way of like, hey, you know, we both can consciously work on each other. Mm-hmm. And then there's oftentimes, and this is probably I need to work on this part with boundaries and whatnot, but we'll be in the midst of laying with each other. Sometimes it's post-coital. I think that's a fancy way of got done fucking.
That is.
And sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's at the end of the night and we're falling. It comes and goes in a variety of different ways, right?
Yes, it does. It's very versatile.
But I will get inclination to touch you in a specific spot and in a specific way. I have no idea what it is, but sometimes I will just put my hands in different areas of your body, on your hand, on your head. I mean, it's literally all over, right? And touch you in ways that feel like I'm supposed to do that in that moment. Mm-hmm. And it's very much like do this thing now. And sometimes I listen and I do that thing, and sometimes I don't. Would it be helpful, you think, if I were to ask for your permission before doing that? My fear, let me explain my fear real quick, is that I will lose this opportunity. And I know that that's limited, right? I know that the reality is that opportunity is there all the time. But that's my fear, is that I hear it, I have to seize it. And if I take the time to ask you, hey, I'm getting the pull to do some energy work on your forehead, would that feel comfortable for you? I will lose it.
Okay.
I'm so scared to lose that connection with the universe. I keep snapping into the microphone.
Is it about your connection, or is it about what you're hearing that I'm supposed to receive in that moment?
It's I'll lose the connection, and then I won't be able to give you this thing.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Because whatever reason I'm hearing it, you need it in this moment, and need whatever, right? But it's important.
Yeah.
It feels important, and I don't want to miss out on something that's important, especially for you.
Okay. First of all, we have that thing with each other. You tell me I always have permission. I tell you, I don't know if I've actually said you always have permission. Have I? Maybe. I might not have. I don't know. Anyways.
Do you want to say it now, or do you want to think about it?
Oh, no. Because we both know that's not true. There are times when you're like,
yeah,
don't you fucking do it. And I'm like, I'm not. There's times I even like emphasize, I'm not going to see anything. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to work your arm.
Yeah.
So while we have that understanding that we're always here to support each other and are always going to offer to help, as far as always having permission, like that's not actually 100% accurate. But it's 99% of the time accurate. You know what I mean?
So should we just call it safe?
No. I have a thought.
Okay.
I have a thought. I will get to it. I go the long way. Remember the paths?
It's beautiful.
There are first of all, my thoughts are, I want you to do energy work on me. I love that so much. And I love it when you do it because granted, I'm biased and you know me, but I heal so much with you. And it's not like it's your responsibility. It's just as it's not mine for you. But we have this beautiful ability to offer that to each other and do these things. And I love it. I just love it. And then I love sharing these experiences. And I love when we see the same things. And I love it. So I'm like, yes. However, sometimes like our post-coital, when just got done having a massive orgasm or being very still very sexually aroused because it's been some hot stuff. And I'm like, I'm done, but I'm kind of not. And then all of a sudden, the one I went to first wasn't the one on the head. It was that spot on my back that I still don't want you to get to. I can feel it right now flaring up. I'm like, stop.
Yeah.
That I didn't have awareness of. And then you put your hand on me. And so I'm in this mood. And then all of a sudden it was like, I felt that shit hard and I was not prepared for it. You're like, there's something there. I'm like, no fucking shit. So that moment was kind of scary and permission would have been helpful. So how does this feel to you? Because I hear you that if you stop to ask permission, it'll take you out of the moment. And that's where you don't want to lose that ability to help in that moment. So what if you said something like, I'm working, or something to that effect. So when you're coming in and I'm just sitting here thinking how hot and sweaty and perfect everything is. And then you touch me or it's not like this loving thing. I know you're going to work. And then I have the option at that moment to say, not right now, or at least, or accept that you're going into that and be ready. So just acknowledging it coming in. Do you think that would still take you out? I mean, you can use a phrase that feels right for you.
That's what I'm trying to see. I like the idea, but I'm trying to shift the word work.
Okay. I'm
I
about to clear some shit. I'm just kidding. That's too much.
No, it's like I'm trying to think of like, baby, I feel some energy. Are you okay if I work it?
See, I'm okay with that, but you already communicated that much verbiage, that much asking is going to take you out of it.
Yeah, but that's not that much.
What about if you say, I feel something?
That's so easily misinterpreted.
Yeah, right?
You're all, no shit, you feel something.
Like, yeah, you do.
Hand off my ass. Yeah. Let's play with it.
I'm sensing.
I like the idea. I like
Okay.
the idea. I think next time it happens, hopefully I'll get the remembrance.
Yeah.
And then I'll see what comes out.
We just get to practice.
Yeah, we'll practice. And
You'll
see what
probably
fits.
say exactly what you're supposed to say in that moment because
Right.
you're already going to be like,
Maybe I'm getting a message that my dick's supposed to go there. Are you all right with it there? No? Okay. Hold on. I'm getting another message. It's supposed to go over there.
so is that.
I love the connection that you and I share within the space of this universe and love and energy and everything else.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it.
Me too.
Yeah. Steph, I had to go through some shit.
I know.
There's a big part of my story, whether it's mine or not. I think this one's mine. This one feels like my story. I don't like help. You know? Somebody could tell me, hey, I can make that easier for you. I'd be like, that's okay. Hey, if you go that way, you won't fall in that hole. You know? I'm like, nah, I don't want to listen to other people tell me how to do things or give me advice. That's been a narrative of mine for a really, really long time. And it's shifting, and I'm grateful for it. I've allowed so much more help in, which I recognize has helped so much. But that's a really hard thing for me. So I think that was a big part of this experience for me over the last few years of, I think, my thought is that we have a belief, and I mean people, right? An individual person has a belief, and they believe in this thing that's separate from them, whether it's God, the universe, love. Maybe you are so passionate about sports, or it doesn't matter what it is. It's the thing that is bigger than you that you feel connected to. And somebody coming in and telling you how to connect to that thing that you are connected to already and you feel, and then like how to strengthen that connect. Like, I don't want to hear that. I think everybody has to find their way to whatever it is that they love, or whatever brings them a sense of something greater. Right? And I can offer ideas, you can offer ideas, we can help. But I think at the end of the day, that is something that we kind of have to figure out on our own. Now, I did it in a really stubborn way, and I wish I would have allowed more help in at certain times. But it is what it is, you know? I know why I have a hard time letting people help me. It's been a hard lesson to learn. And I'm getting it. But I think if I would have, you know, I have to do things sometimes the really hard way. And I don't want to keep doing that. I'm ready to get help. I'm ready to receive, you know, give us the hack to get to point A from point A to point B a little bit easier. I'm okay with that now. I've done enough hard things that I'm like, maybe, oh, I don't have to fall in that hole. Okay, how do I get there? Yeah, let's avoid the hole. I'm okay with that. And then, of course, there's going to be times where I'm going to have to go fall in that hole. And that's okay too. I don't know. I'm just so grateful that I knew that like it bothered you. I knew that it was something that bothered isn't the right word. I knew it made you sad. And I could feel that you didn't know what to do. And I could feel you hiding your stuff. I don't mean like...
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
They might not. You can explain if you want.
No, I could feel that you were trying to keep this thing that is so big inside of you and that you're so passionate about and that you love so much and that fuels you so much that you were trying to keep it small out of consideration for me. And, you know, I'm sorry if I ever made you feel that that was needed or that you needed to keep it small because it was too much for me. But that's not the case. You know?
You didn't make me feel that way.
Well, going to turn into a semantics conversation if we get talking about how you make me feel or you don't make me feel. I made it.
I've got my own opinions on that. They do differ from yours. So if you want to get into that, I'm ready.
But I'm glad that, like I said, I don't want you to hide. I don't want you to feel like you have to hide. You don't have to. I love what you bring to the table of our life.
Thank you.
And I want you to keep bringing it. I like what I bring.
Right back at you.
Right?
Yes.
So I've been sharing a lot of stuff with you lately.
Yeah.
Very vulnerably. And I get very uncomfortable after sharing some things.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just this little bit of like, I feel like my dick's hanging out.
Right. Vulnerability is scary. It's hard.
It is hard.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah. It is. You wrote down something.
Oh, that was my own awareness. It wasn't for the podcast.
Oh, okay. That's good. Yep, motherfucker, that's for...
Yeah, that's mine. Thank you. This I wrote down and I talked about, but that right here is just something that I just realized and I have to feel into that more. So that is still very early processing, and I don't like to share very early processing because I don't have a good understand. I don't. Yes. Okay, what do you...
I want to ask you this question.
Ready. Is
this the what?
I was going to say, is this the question you were going to ask me before the podcast? But I remember we did that already and we actually talked about it. Kind of.
This is, no, we didn't. We didn't even get close to talking about that question. I don't think you remember that question.
I might not.
The website.
Oh, yeah. No, right. We didn't.
We didn't get close to that thing.
I just reminded them. Right. There was that thing.
So hang in there. It's coming. Maybe.
I'll
maybe
forget
not.
again. It'll be a surprise to me again.
Go back and listen to the intro that you skipped through to get through the to the ads. That's where it's at.
That's where we told you.
This you shared last week on our Instagram in the stories. It's from another account. Oftentimes we'll post things up in our stories like normal people that interest us, that we're resonate with. This one came from at Witches of Eden. So I'm just going to read it.
Okay. I've shared a lot of their stuff, actually. I like them. It's
a good account. And you posted in the stories the question, how does reading this make you feel? So I'm going to read it to you. And I would like, if you're open, to share how it makes you feel.
Okay.
I usually become a ghost to those who no longer deserve my time. I've never seen a point in explaining my absence to someone who failed to appreciate my presence. You don't owe any explanation to those who hurt you. And the quote is from R.H. Sin. There was a lot of reading that had to be done there. It was challenging. How does that make you feel, babe?
Well, it had two parts. It resonated with me, and it was also for you. How does that?
Do you do that too? I post shit up in our stories all the time for you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, God, I hope she sees this. But I can't show it to you because I feel like if I show it to you, it's almost like you'll get scared and you won't look at it.
Yeah.
But if you just happen upon it.
Because I think you're filming me. You bring your phone over and I'm like, this is going to be a real shit.
If you happen upon it, you know, you're like, then it's more of like, how funny is that?
That's cute. I'm going to miss a lot because I go through social media phases.
Yeah.
And I've been out of one. I got back on today, but I think I forgot to check the story. So if I'm not actively on social media doing stuff, like on the podcast to help, then I'm not going to see it because it's, I go. And then I need a break. I cannot social media. So
sometimes it's for me, right?
So yeah. It's for you a lot and it's for me a lot. You know, it's both. I had never looked at it that way. That to me felt like freedom, like your head coming up out of the water. Just like that was, I have a lot of shame for that. And I still feel like I owe explanations. And not only do I owe explanations, but then I have to feel bad because that's going to make the person feel bad, or maybe they're not like that anymore. And then I'm just being like, what's the word? Like holding grudges. I'm being selfish. I'm all these things. So it's like, even when it hurts too bad to be around somebody and I don't want to, or I try to disappear, I'm still not allowed to, but I have. And then there's situations like the one that I'm describing the most is one that I've only recently been more out of. And it's still hard. And I still feel like I don't have a choice, that I'm going to have to be back in that space. I just feel stuck a lot with that. But there are people that I haven't hesitated to do that with. And they have that term ghosting and how terrible ghosting is and how you're never supposed to do that. Only like the worst people, like the worst of the worst people are ghosters. And I'm like, fuck, I'm a ghoster. So that was just like that narrative that I'm too weak to have those conversations. I'm too selfish. I'm just a piece of shit person. And then reading that, it was like, or I don't know that fucker a thing.
Right.
I do not. You don't get to cause that kind of pain and torment. And even maybe it's not that for everybody, right? There's differences. For me, or make a situation so uncomfortable, make me feel so like actions that you do are having an effect that is just like, it's not safe for me. I don't owe you an explanation. I don't owe you. There are things that I believe people are doing that are just maybe annoying, or maybe an unintentional boundary cross that you do need to communicate your boundaries. But there's so much that you don't need to communicate those boundaries. Like everybody, you don't do those kind of things. That's not okay. Somebody shouldn't have to tell you to not
treat people like that.
Treat people like that, to not violate, to not, like, that is not okay. That's not about you not being strong enough to set boundaries or stand up to, like, no, you get to get the fuck out. You get to get away. You get to ghost. You get to ghost. You don't owe them anything. You're not a terrible person. You don't owe them anything. They made their actions. They chose their role in your life. You didn't tell them how to show up for you. You didn't give them the script. They showed up how they were going to show up in your life. Their actions, they own that, their consequences. And if that's you ghosting, they should be so lucky that that's all you did. So it's very freeing, very liberating. And I'm like, everybody needs to know this. Everybody. And in the event that you don't feel good around somebody else, even if it's not this big thing, like, you get to just do that. You don't have to give everybody closure. If somebody asks for it, it's up to you. I don't know. There's just so much of this free will that is just taken away to make good choices. It's like every time you have a choice for a boundary or setting a safe limit, people have figured out a new way to make you wrong for it. First, you're not allowed to speak up because I'm done. I'm done with my tangent. Quit making it wrong for people to take care of themselves.
Right.
Okay, how's it make you feel? I need to breathe. Hold on, I need to exhale.
Good job.
Very activated. I'm not activated as in triggered. I'm activated. I get that like shaky, that when I get passionate about something, when it's so strong and I want to be able to communicate it, but I'm still in that healing process where I'm still learning how to regulate my emotions. So when it's something that I'm really passionate about, it's a high emotion. And high emotion is what happens with trauma. And so trauma, you have this freeze and difficulty speaking and all of these things that happen. So even when it's a happy thing, if I'm passionate and it's a high emotion, it's still a trauma response trying to talk through it. So that's why I said I'm very activated. And I was passionate because I felt free. I felt liberated, but I was passionate about it. So then I still had that trauma. I'm not breathing. I can't get the words. Got to get it out. Like, I'm actually happy. I'm happy. This isn't trauma. I'm happy.
That's super good awareness, especially of like your somatic experience. I like that. There's a part of this that stood out to me. All of it I could kind of see in some context, and I could feel some of like the messages in some context, but one of them was really pronounced. I've never seen a point in explaining my absence to someone who failed to appreciate my presence. So that really resonated in regards to like, I can think of, I was going to say some. I can think of every relationship that I've ever had with any person ever in existence from the time that I was born until today, in this exact moment. Every single relationship, I feel like I owe somebody an explanation if I'm not showing up. And so if we go, we'll just take an imaginary friend of mine. I was going to use a real friend because one popped into my head.
Yeah. I had a fake name for you, then I realized you have a friend named that. And so that didn't work. Do you know any Phils? No? Other than...
I got a
maybe
vague...
that a hands are off.
Right? Tim and Phil. No, that's okay. We don't need to get squirreled here.
Okay.
So this friend of mine, I mean, over the course of friendships, sometimes you go a period of time with not talking, and that's normal. And then at some point, it's different with every friendship and it's different with every relationship, but at some point, it's like, oh, I haven't talked to that person in a while. And sometimes it's like, oh, that's interesting. That person just popped into my head. Or, oh, I haven't talked to so-and-so in a while. And then like the next thought, it might be immediately after, or maybe it's another 6 months later. But at some point I have this next thought of like, why? And the narrative is always, I've done something wrong.
Oh.
And they are distancing themselves from me. They don't want to talk to me. So then I have to figure out what I did wrong, how to make up for it, and how to reconnect with them and make them feel seen so that I can make up for this imaginary thing that I thought I have done wrong.
Wow.
So it's like, I mean, I've got 3 good friends of mine that I grew up with, and all 3 of them I have sporadic communication with. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less, sometimes it's a year, sometimes it's longer. And then every now and then it's a reconnection. And we've been friends for 30 plus years. And I always think, how do I reconnect with them so that they will forgive me for fill in the blank? I have been a bad friend. That's the problem. How do I make up for being a bad friend and not showing up for them more? We haven't talked in 6 months. That's my fault. How do I make up for that? Or God forbid we had some slightly awkward interaction or something, right? Like if there was ever some sort of...
I'd be toast then.
Right?
Yeah.
Like if there is something that maybe came up, even if it's of the mildest form of like... you didn't ever respond back to a text that you didn't ever get. Maybe, right? They're upset because I text you and it never got back to me. I'm like, I never got your text. That happens sometimes. Simplest, silliest of real life experiences. But I will take all of them and blow them up into, oh my God, I have so much to make up for. I want to keep this friend. How do I make up for this? How do I make them feel like what can I do so that they still want to be friends with me, so that they still love me, so that they still like me, so that they still accept me? And that's with every relationship. It's not just the guys that I grew up with. That's with every relationship. Even the silly relationships. Stephanie and I go to the post office on a damn near daily basis for, we ship out packages for stuff. We deal drugs. We ship drugs. We don't. We really don't. But we have a relationship with these, the people that work at the post office.
Yes.
Right? Because we get to banter back and forth and visit, and you start to cultivate just a friendly relationship with people that you see on a regular basis, even if they're strangers. And everybody there is...
Same at the grocery store.
Right? Is exactly the same at the grocery store. And I value those relationships and those interactions. It makes kind of the mundaneness of life, because for them it's their fucking job.
Yeah.
Like we all know working at the post office ain't the fucking...
I know they're probably like, oh, it's going to be here the talkers.
Probably some days.
I'm just kidding.
I'm sure it is, right?
Yeah.
Some days we walk in the door and they're like, motherfuckers. Because we usually come with armfuls of packages. And I'm sure some days they're like, oh, here's so-and-so, and I'm excited to chat with them again. Or, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But regardless, those little interactions I think are important. But even those relationships, I still run through that same filter of like, oh, she seemed a little off today. She must hate me.
What is that?
You
right?
know?
It's like it never occurs to you that they might just be having a bad day.
Yeah.
Or just like slam their finger, or it's like something just like whatever.
Yeah.
Or I don't know. It's always, I've done something wrong.
Right?
And they can't stand me.
Right? How wacky is that?
It only sometimes will turn to where I'm like, fuck them. Usually I'm like, hi, I'm going to be really nice this time. I'm going to win them over.
Right?
Right?
Win them over to what? Like, that's the whole thing. What are we winning them over to? To where they like us now? So that
Because
next
then I
time
haven't
we
done
come
something
into this,
wrong.
right?
Yeah. It's
very
ridiculous.
Well, I don't think
I think
it's
it's
ridiculous.
I'm
I think
telling
it serves
myself.
a purpose.
Yeah, it serves a purpose of low self-esteem and self-worth. No, there's a part, that's a part, and that's a part, I've said that a few times.
What's a part? That's a part.
You know how these like parts work, internal family systems, that's a part.
Yes.
That's a part of me and you that apparently has a need that we need to address and sit with. So maybe we can, with our amazing team that we have, sit with and find that out, because I don't want to let that part lead the ship, lead the course, I can't use my words right now. She's trying to sabotage me. She's like, you will not say this.
For me, it's wanting to be loved.
It's wanting to be loved.
And even just the simplest form of, this person smiles when I walk in and we have a fun conversation about something silly for 3 minutes and then we leave. I feel like I just made that person feel better and I offered value to them. They did to me as well.
Yeah.
Right? But at the end of the day, it's like, if that's in jeopardy, then in some base reptilian form of my brain, it's like safety and love. Right? If society turns on me and thinks that I'm an asshole,
that's it.
Then my safety's at risk.
That's true.
And I'm going to die. And then the flip side is they're not going to love me and I'm going to die, right? If I'm not loved, I'm dead. Like, if you don't love me, then I'm dead. That's what it feels like to me. That's an important lesson.
It is an important lesson. I'm ready to change that.
But that thing, I think, has kept us alive for a very, very long time. And by us, I mean the human race.
Humans, like safety in numbers.
Yeah.
Community.
Yeah. That need to belong and exist is, I think, a primordial evolutionary thing of needing to survive so that we can continue to propagate.
Yeah.
Because if we have that pull to be together, if we have that pull to be safe and seen by one another so that we can form this tribe, which then cultivates safety, right? We can use our resources and our skills, the whole 9 yards. There's a reason for that. And I think this is the remnant of it, right? Where now we could technically live an entire life on our own. We don't have to have another person there. We don't have to have a community and a tribe. We don't have to be involved in society or a culture. I don't choose to do that, but that's a possibility in today's world. I don't think that was a possibility 10,000 years ago.
Yeah, probably
right?
not, huh?
I think you had to, or you died. The human race is a pack animal.
Yeah.
I don't think we were made to live off and alone by ourselves.
I don't know. Sometimes I really think we were.
Sometimes you wish we were.
Sometimes I'm like, you know what? People are not supposed to be next to each other.
Some people. We're not supposed to be pack animals with the entire planet.
Right? Okay, there's that.
Right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that I don't want in my pack, and that's okay.
Yeah.
You know, they can go be in their pack. There's a pack for those people.
Yeah.
There's enough of us that we all have a pack.
We all have a pack.
We just don't all need to be the same pack.
Yeah.
Truthfully, right?
Truthfully.
And now we're all sitting here in this country trying to decide which pack you belong to. And they've given us 2 choices.
Right?
That's it. You got 2 choices. Which pack do you want to belong to? Just 2. You only get 2. It seems like there's a lot of us, boss. I think we got like 750 million people or something like that on this country. Maybe we give them more than 2 packs to choose from. I can't even do the math on that, right? Why don't they give us more packs to choose from?
Because they think it will take away from the power of the...
Right?
Yeah.
Of those packs. And then if we lose power, then we lose safety. And it's the same thing where we'll be shunned by society, by your peers.
Fuck, yeah.
Yeah.
Words. I'm so afraid of that. I'm so afraid of that. It's like I have awareness of, I want to be the thing that people like me are looking for, instead of being afraid of everything, everyone else, like afraid of like all that out. I cannot talk. This is so hard. This episode is so hard. That think that the way I am in so many different ways. I have a lot of things about me that is once upon a time punishable by death. So that affects. So I get that, like, I'm not being overly dramatic. Well, I won't be killed for it now. Killing still happens for these things now. So that it's not going to happen now. You're safe. Also not. But then I make life hard for people around me. So it's not just my life and not being safe. It's that I make people who are associated with me unsafe. And so it's like not even my own. I'm not going to be loved. I'm going to die. I'm going to be killed. I'm putting people around me at risk. People that I love more than anything. And I don't want to buy into that. And I want to stand up and be like, this is exactly who I am. Who else wants to, like, who else feels safe here? You know, just kind of like create that. So it's that duality of, this is going to kill me and everybody I love, to follow me. I know the way, you know? It's like, I will stand up for you so you have a place to stand. And I will.
You will.
In the privacy of my own home. I'm like, I will stand up over here. If you want to come to me, we'll stand together. How do I stand up outside the house? How do I risk that? How do you risk that? How do you not give a fuck? How do you stop caring? Like,
keep talking. Don't lose that answer or that question, because I have to write down my question that I'm going to ask you. So keep talking about that.
Sure. How do you...
You don't have to rephrase.
No, it's gone. Sorry.
Oh, God, it is gone, huh? How do I stand up for...
Write your question first. We might as well have one of them.
How do I be brave and
How
go
do I
outside?
Oh, you know what? Right? I'm working on that with my therapist. I'm supposed to lean into my north node. My north node has my back. I'm very showboaty. I'm very much in your face. Look at me, look at me, look at me is what I'm supposed to learn.
Is what you're supposed to learn?
I'm supposed to be very like in the sun and shown, and just like you get to see me. I get to be, and not even...
Are you talking astrologically? That's
yes.
what you're supposed to be doing?
I am, like, my direction in life is to not be afraid of being seen. Is to be shown, and not in the condescending way. I just had to like... That's kind of how I view it. So I had to throw in my little judgment, my little humor.
To swallow down the pill that you don't want to take.
Because I'm so scared of being seen.
Yeah.
But that's literally what I came here to learn. Is how to shine. To allow myself to be seen. You did too. Is
that in my north node?
That's your north node.
Well, lucky for us, we have a podcast.
Right?
I struggle with being seen. Immensely hard. So the way that I do it is I disassociate in order to do it.
Me too.
So I basically go to a different place and pop out of my body, go through the experience, and then come back into my body. That's how I do it. I don't like that. I know how that feels, and I do that in regards to a lot of different areas of my life. And sometimes I will do that subconsciously without awareness that I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And I much prefer actually feeling my way through experiences. Turns out, I think for me, with how I feel today, life is much more enjoyable when I'm connected and when I feel my way through it, as opposed to disassociate and pop out of my body, because it's hard to be seen. It is hard to be seen. But it's also really, really nice to be seen. You taught me that. It's always been really hard for me to show up as all of me in relationships, because of how scary it was. But the more I showed you, the better it felt. And it eventually got to this, like the snowball got big enough rolling down that hill that there was just no stopping it. I was showing you everything because the payoff, the result, the feeling of being seen for who I truly am, I mean, that's what they should be selling. Do you know what I mean? Why should you show yourself? Because it feels fucking incredible to be seen. Oh, that seems really scary. It is. But the opposite end of how scary it is how good it feels to actually be seen and how safe it makes you feel. So now I'm able to go out and be seen because of how great you have made me feel in that space. And I don't need the validation of you or the people that listen to this podcast or, you know, our children. I constantly am seeking validation from our children. And that's a really hard one for me to let go of. But it's because love feels so good. That's why we go down to the post office and hope that those ladies still like us. Because it feels so good to be loved.
Feels good to give it back.
Right? It feels good to exchange that with people. It feels good to be in the flow of it and to feel it and to connect to it and to share it. And I love when I know that I made somebody smile with something. Sometimes it's a joke. Sometimes it's whatever, right? I'm realizing that there's some people that just smile when I show up and they're happy to see me. I haven't had a lot of awareness of that over the course of my life. I think I've had a lot of people in my life that probably had felt that way, but I didn't see those people. All I saw was what I thought were all the people that were upset when I showed up and were bummed out when I got there and they didn't really want me there. And then how do I make them like me?
I'm familiar with that feeling.
Right? Just this silliness. I don't think we're alone, Steph.
We're not.
I don't think you and I are the two only people that
No.
feel this way.
No.
I feel like a lot of people probably feel this way.
I have that belief. It's a belief.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think a lot of people feel this way.
I do too.
Yeah.
And it's just so silly. So another reason why it's important, I think, for us to, what's my mantra? The super important thing. Stop entertaining. Sorry.
That's okay. I almost had it. I was like, you don't need to entertain is what I was thinking.
Yeah. Stop entertaining and just share.
And just share. Stop entertaining.
If we tried to sugarcoat the reality of this lack of self-confidence that we've experienced our whole life, and the feeling of like people don't love me, even the you know, the tertiary relationships that I have in my, it's sad. And I think you're right, a lot of us feel that way. But if we all feel that way, then we can all just make the agreement of like, hey, it's good to see you. And I mean that genuinely. You know, I can think of a lot of people in our life that I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad that person's working today.
Right.
And you walk in and the other person's working. You're like, fuck them. But
it's the synchronicity of this episode. Today I was working on that map I'm doing, the book that I'm working on. It's I'll talk about it at some point, maybe, probably. Yeah. I'm really in the thick of that, but it is, I had awareness of, or what I believe to be, and I knew, like I had this memory, but it wasn't, I didn't let it come all the way out. I let it come out a little bit, and I'm like, yeah, that was painful, but I didn't let it really be felt. And then when I had to write these things down, which is like going from like memories of what caused these beliefs, the first one that popped into my head was that. I believe it's my first memory. It's my first association of where my belief was formed that I didn't have self-worth and that I was wrong. And I had awarenesses like going into it, testing, like I knew I was going to be in trouble and criticized, but I shared a positive thing. And it's not it's not art. It's not my drawing, but I shared a positive. I was little. I can tell the story. You want me to tell? I can tell the story. I don't say who. I was little, and I was dressed all in black. I mean, I was little. It was like I wasn't allowed in the front seat according to today's standards, but you know, back in those days, kids were still in the front seat. But I remember I could look at my entire legs on the seat because they were like stretched out. So I could see all that. My knees it wasn't long enough to bend at the knees where my feet were on the floor. So however old this long of legs is.
Because car seats were bigger back in the day.
Yeah.
Like bench seats are a good 3 feet long before you get to the edge and your knees start hanging over. So you were really little if you could see your legs.
I could see my legs. But I was wearing all black and I felt pretty. And I had association from the show Black Beauty, the horse, and Sleeping Beauty. And so I was trying to say that. I was trying to like tell my mom. I wasn't going to say her name. I wasn't going to say that, but that's too late. It's out. Just keep going. That's hard because I wasn't going to say who it was. I decided to say it to her. Like I wanted to like share what I thought of myself, but I also wanted her confirmation of it and her to agree with me and then praise me. That I was like, I don't remember but I was like feeling good. I remember my phrase was like, I feel like Black Beauty. And it was an immediate, like, I think that's where I learned the word conceited, because I'm like, she went off like that. You sound conceited. You cannot talk like that. People are not going to want to be around. Like, it just was like this big thing that kept going on how wrong I was because I gave myself a compliment. And I remember just being like, what the, like, it hurt because I knew going into it, I knew it was a risk. So I was already testing the theory. So that's just where the belief was, where I started getting that thought. I don't know where, but that's where it was formed. I remember it hurt so bad because, you know, not only was I wrong, you know, but she obviously didn't agree with me. So I'm not pretty. I'm ugly. I'm not supposed to have like worth. I'm not supposed to say things nice about myself to people. I'm not supposed to show that, like I'm wrong for that. And then she tried to, after that, she's like, but yes, you do look pretty. And that was supposed to stick? That's not what I heard. That's not the lesson I got. Now, granted, I can see she was trying to protect me for whatever reasons, you know. But like that was hard for me to deal with like that. Like that's where I learned one of the things that I had to do today. That was where I started learning that not only am I not allowed to believe in myself, but you're not. It was just hard. I'm not getting the words out.
You did great getting the words out.
And then, you know, then you get criticized for talking negatively about yourself, for not believing in yourself.
Damned if you do and damned if you don't.
So.
Yeah.
So, just kind of like the funniness of I have a core memory of when this belief was formed. And we just talked a lot about it so I could really get a good, I don't know,
marinate in that for you.
Yeah. But I'm happy that I can see it, and I like the fact that this is a confirmation that I'm on the right track of stuff that I'm healing as well. Because obviously, you know, I can look at it as that was hurtful, and obviously she wasn't trying to be hurtful, but that's how it came out. And who knows how it really happened, right? That's my memory.
Don't minimize it.
That's right. I started like, let me give you all the outs.
Right.
That was hurtful. That was painful.
Yes. That I feel like is a good example of something that you've had your entire life that is not your story.
Yeah, literally. It's not my story.
Right?
My story was I looked beautiful.
Exactly.
I felt good about myself. That's my story.
Yeah.
And my mom was like, no, no, no.
Yeah.
So of course that's going to like kill that in me.
So if we take that story, it's yours.
Yeah.
That you have awareness of, this is my story.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm not saying you have to say those words to yourself right now, but
I'm beautiful. I look beautiful. Say something. I did a good job.
Yes, you did.
I've been doing this in the mirror a lot.
I bet you have.
I really have. I can talk to myself now. I'm so fucking nice to myself and pump myself up. I can not only look at myself and say I love you, I can feel it now. I've been doing some hardcore mirror work. So people that we know that listen to the podcast and I talk to you about mirror work, like there's a reason. That shit has taken me years. It took me years. I was also not consistent because it's too hard. But it's taken me years.
Yeah, I'm glad that you are, I'm glad that you're speaking this awareness. I'm glad that you're sharing this because that is a huge shift, Stephanie. A huge shift. The ability to, just everything you got done doing and saying is massively different than you've ever done things, at least from what I've seen. And I've known you like 6 billion years. You're a beautiful lady.
Thank you.
We're wrapping the episode. Fuck this. This episode's been wrapped. We're done. Are you I'm being silly.
I was okay. I was trying.
Website. Are you okay discussing that thing? Or do you want to talk about it some more?
I think we do it.
Okay. If any of this has resonated with you in any way, shape, or form, one of the things that Stephanie and I are rolling out this year is the fact that we work with people. Like, you can actually work with us if you're interested in that. I felt so good with that flow.
Yeah, you were doing good. Does this resonate with you? Do we resonate with you? We've been working with people individually for a while now, and we have history of working with people together. We just kind of pulled away from that. We just haven't been making it known on the podcast or offering that as a way you could connect to us through the podcast. This is a huge leap for us, but we are ready.
Yes. So it's easy. You can just hit us up in all the ways that you can reach out. In the near future, you can obviously go to the website and all the information will be there about what working with us actually looks like.
Yeah.
You can work with Stephanie if you really resonate and connect with her and how she sees the world and works with energy. And you can also work directly with me. Happy to work with anyone if you resonate with how you, whatever, right? You fucking resonate with one of us. And then, of course, we do work together. And if you want to work with us as a team.
Double your pleasure. Double your fun.
Right?
No, like everything is like double make it. We're doubling everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. See, you remember me talking earlier today about the significance of twos for me?
Twos, yes.
Right?
Yes.
So if you want to work with us as a team, we'll Stephanie and I will tag team your ass.
Get ready to work.
We also work with couples. So if you have a partner and the two of you would like to work with us, we're happy to do that. Relationship stuff, obviously. I mean, literally, like, just whatever it is that you want to work on. We're happy to help you and bring forth the skill set that we have to do that.
If it's not in our wheelhouse, we'll help you find someone. We do our best with that. So
yeah, hit us up if you're interested. As always, listen to the podcast every single fucking week. Episodes are now going to be Monday and Thursdays. So we did make that change. New episodes on Monday and Thursdays. Clips channel on YouTube. Please go subscribe to that.
TikTok,
all the social stuff. Yeah, and this is just the tip of the iceberg, folks. We got lots more coming your way, so stay tuned.